I'll never let you go. Rainbow Dash had never really liked thinking. In fact, she hated it. She had always been a mare of action, a shoot first, ask questions later type of pony. But as of, well, a few weeks ago, she seemed to be plagued with thoughts, unpleasant thoughts, of her relationships with her friends and, in particular, Twilight. Had some pony asked her what the cause of these thoughts were, well, her guess was as good as theirs. But with so much going on as of late, with Twilight frequently being too busy to spend any substantial amount of time with her, with Applejack having a sudden influx of cider orders, and an array of many other things, she had guessed that she just felt lonely. That was a first. At first, she just tried to deny it. The Rainbow Dash, the tough, go-lucky mare of action. Lonely? Never. But the more she tried to do to fill that void, the hole, that feeling inside of her, the bigger and bigger it just seemed to get, which was what led her to where she was now. Outside of Twilight's bedroom, her hoof rapping against the door with a knock so light that it could have easily been Fluttershy knocking. There was a moment of silence, and Dash could have sworn that she heard a quiet groan of annoyance from behind the door, followed by a sound of magic.
"Come in,"
a voice said from inside. Rainbow Dash stepped in tenderly, peeking her head out from outside the door.
"Hey, Twi,"
Dash begun.
Can I come in?"
Twilight's expression changed from one of annoyance to one of joy almost immediately after she realized who it was that had come knocking.
"Rainbow, it's so great to see you. Yes, come in.
Twilight exclaimed, smiling widely at her friend and patting a spot beside her.
"Come, sit by me. I was just reading a book on the conventions of applications of magic in everyday life."
While Rainbow Dash usually would have rolled her eyes at such an eggheadish book, she instead found herself smiling and even letting out a small chuckle at her friends. Dash happily obliged and, without hesitation at all, laid by Twilight. There was a moment of silence between the two before Rainbow Dash finally spoke.
Twi,
Dash began slowly.
can we talk?"
Her ears perked up ever so slightly.
"Of course. What's up?"
There was a moment of silence. The confidence that she had mustered suddenly disintegrated into nothing, and Rainbow Dash looked down in nervousness. The silence continued. Yeah, it's pretty deafening. After what seemed like hours, Rainbow jumped as she felt a wing wrap gently around her side, followed by a tender, loving voice.
"Dash,
Twilight spoke, her voice soft and gentle.
if something's bothering you, you can tell me, you know? I'm here for you."
Rainbow Dash nodded slowly.
"I know, Twi, it's just..."
She took a pause, taking a moment to gather her thoughts and muster up the tiniest shred of courage.
I'm scared, Twi."
Twilight gave her friend a gentle squeeze with her wing, nudging gently into her neck in an attempt to comfort her friend.
"Scared?
Twilight queried, trying her best to keep a gentle tone.
Of what?"
The silence resumed itself, but after a few moments, Dash spoke.
"I'm just scared of losing you, Twi. Scared of losing me? Rainbow, why on earth would you think that? I don't know, Twi. It's just...
Rainbow Dash paused, taking a moment to find the words.
We've been spending less and less time together over the last few weeks, you know? And... I guess that I'm just scared that we'll eventually stop talking completely. I just... No! What? What? Shush.
Twilight gently squeezed Rainbow, pressing gently into her neck with her nose in a tender, loving nuzzle.
Tash, you're my best friend. You're not gonna lose me. I promise.
Twilight's words brought comfort to Rainbow as she melted into the hug. She found herself rather enjoying the physical contact, hell, even craving to be closer to Twilight than she already was. She, too, wrapped a wing around the pony next to her head resting atop Twilight's and closing her eyes, savoring the moments. Rainbow wrapped her foreleg around Twilight's neck, pulling her friend closer. She gently rubbed her forehead against Twilight's, and then tucked her head into the crook of her neck.
Hold me.
Twilight could feel Dash's gentle breaths. Cool, slow inhales followed by warm exhales. She wrapped her hooves around Rainbow, rubbing small circles on her back and squeezing her gently. She, too, gently nuzzled herself into the crook of the mare's neck, closing her eyes and whispering into her ear.
I'll never let you go.
Twilight licked around the base of Rainbow's ear gently, tenderly, and lovingly grooming her friend. She worked her way from the base of the tip of her ear before going to work on her neck, which elicited small giggles from the mare.
Hey, that tickles,
she exclaimed. Twilight laughed with her friends and ceased her grooming, instead opting to simply hold her and caress her back gently. Rainbow Dash found herself just in thought, reflecting on how silly she had just been. How could she have possibly even considered the idea that they would grow apart? After all, both she and Twilight had been friends for, well, years. To imagine a life without Twilight, her best friends, well, quite frankly, that was a terrifying thought. As she considered everything that has happened over the past few weeks, the worrying sick about Twilight, the sleepless nights, and hell, even being closer to tears at some points, she realized that it didn't really matter. All that mattered here, in this moment, was the fact that she and Twilight were together. Rainbow Dash turned to stare at Twilight.
Twi?
She hummed in response.
Thank you.
Twilight tilted her head to the side ever so slightly.
What? For what? For being here for me. No matter how silly I'm being, you mean a lot to me, Twi. You know that. And I don't know what I would do without you. Oh, and for the cuddles. It's just nice to be close to some pony sometimes. You know? Even if I don't show it, I really do like stuff like this, and also just for talking to me, because I know I can be super difficult sometimes, and I know I can seem super stuck up, but I really do like to talk, you know that. Oh, and also for...
Rainbow was interrupted by a pair of lips colliding forcefully on her own. Without even thinking, she melted instantly into the kiss. It was over too quickly, however, and Twilight slowly pulled away, giggling and giving her friend's muzzle a gentle boop.
You talk too much, Dashy.
Rainbow's ears flattened against her skull in embarrassment, and she pressed into the purple mare's neck in an attempt to hide her bright blush. Twilight placed a hoof under Rainbow's chin, coaxing Dash to face her. As she did so, Rainbow pressed her lips against her friend's, closing her eyes and savoring the moment. This kiss, however, lasted much longer than the last, and when they eventually had to part for air, the pair were panting, both at a loss for words.
Wow.
Dash whispered under her breath.
Yeah.
Twilight murmured.
Wow.
Once again, Rainbow Dash nuzzled into her friend's coat in an attempt to hide her bright red blush. Dash had, quite literally, turned as red as a tomato.
Twi? Yes, Dashy. What are we?
The mare considered the question for a moment.
Whatever you want us to be. Well then...
Dash began.
Will you be my special sun pony?
The words had come out almost without her realizing, and just as she begun regretting even considering that Twilight would consider her, she responded.
Of course I will, Rainbow.
Twilight nibbled gently on the tip of Dash's ear and gave the base a small lick.
I love you, Rainbow. I love you too, Twilight.
Here's a clip with no context!
Twi?
she hummed in response.
Fuck you!
I had to.